My story is not unlike CCA's founder, Regina Ellis's story, where some of the children that CCA serves do not survive. Like Regina and many other families, my story ends in tragedy with the death of my 7-year-old son, Jack. Yesterday was the anniversary of his death, and as you can imagine, the timing of this talk is especially difficult for me. But I am honored to have the opportunity to share it with you. I'd like to ask for your forgiveness in advance for my emotions. They're a little raw and very close to the surface, so I'll do my best to hold it together, but no guarantees. In 2004, we were just living our normal lives, and my wife and I were raising our 2 boys in a way that we dreamed we would. Then one fine day, my 7-year-old son, Jack, came to me and said that he needed glasses. And I thought it was cute because his little buddy Nick had glasses. A couple months later, he said that he had double vision, which is a pretty profound thing for a 7-year-old to say. So we took him to the eye doctor. 24 hours later, I received a call from the eye doctor. I'll never forget that call. It was the moment that changed my life forever. The eye doctor told me that there was pressure on his optic nerve, that there was a mass, a brain tumor. I knew how devastating this diagnosis was because I have a sister who also had a tumor, a non-cancerous brain tumor, that has left her severely disabled. I have experienced firsthand the life-changing and devastating aftermath of seeing your beautiful child suffer and be changed by such trauma. I have had front row seat to watch my parents deal with her journey, and I've watched my sister suffer for years. It was that intimate knowledge that literally brought me to my knees when I received that call. I vividly remember not being able to breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't imagine that my sweet boy would have to live with such a debilitating brain trauma. I knew he would forever be different and that his life would forever be changed. All of our lives would. My charming, sweet, and funny little boy would never be the same. None of us would. I dreaded having to tell my young wife what I had just learned. It was the worst thing I had ever had to do. Our next step was to schedule an MRI, and I could tell by the faces of the people in the other room that the prognosis was not good. What felt like a few hours later, we ended up in the doctor's office, and the doctor explained to us that our child had a cancerous brain tumor and that it was inoperable, untreatable, and incurable, and that our son would die. I literally could not hear what she was saying to me. I could not wrap my head around the word cancer. I could not believe that this was going to be a death sentence for my perfect baby boy. For the first time in my life, I had no idea what to do or how to react. 100% of the children that are diagnosed with this rare diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma die. The average life expectancy is only 2 months after diagnosis, and the longest recorded patient has lived 13 months. Jack's diagnosis was considered very early. The majority of the children that are diagnosed with this disease are diagnosed because they're tripping and falling down, and Jack's disease had not yet progressed that far. So of course I locked on to the 13 months and was confident that he would live that entire time. Jack was diagnosed on March 4th, 2004, and died 3.5 months later on June 18th, a day before Father's Day. After the diagnosis, our lives were wrecked. We were devastated. I lost 30 pounds in less than 3 weeks. I could not eat. I could not sleep. None of us could. I never imagined that his tumor was not treatable or that he would die from it. It never crossed my mind. I wouldn't let it. I was prepared to live with the aftermath of a brain tumor, but I had no idea how I was going to manage the news I had just received in that nondescript, sterile hospital room. Later that night, when we returned from the hospital, I was giving Jack a bath, and he asked me, "Daddy, am I going to die?" I was not prepared for that moment either. I struggled to find something reassuring to tell him. It was at that moment that I knew what I had to do. It was my job to make every day and every moment as beautiful and as safe as it could be. I had to find a way to make him feel safe, secure, and comfortable on this journey. I had to find some way to bring joy to him in his last days on earth. So I quit my job and we circled the wagons. I had no idea that I could love so deeply or that I could endure so much profound pain. It was an incredible life experience filled with an immense, unbelievable love and gut-wrenching sorrow. People came out of the woodwork to offer love and support. It was truly amazing. When we received the news from our doctor, it was like any other doctor's appointment. We sat with the doctor for 10 to 15 minutes, were given our diagnosis, and then left on our own. There was no support, just the cold, hard facts. We decided to switch doctors because we lived a lot closer to Dornbecker and we wanted to be close to our doctors and our hospital. This meant we had to do this crap all over again. We were all terrified and exhausted. When we arrived at Dornbecker, there was someone playing the piano, and my son asked me, "Daddy, when are we going to get to the hospital?" I remember leaning down and telling him, "Son, we're already here." It was a defining moment for us, and you could feel the tension lifting for all of us. The music was so comforting, and it made us all less anxious and less afraid. The person playing the piano was from CCA. Although I did not know it at the time, this was our first interaction with CCA. A few days later, I met Regina Ellis, who had come to our home with a care package. She brought Jack a cozy blanket that had been made by her sister-in-law, I think. In those days, Regina literally had her entire family working around the clock to serve the families in our community. You probably still do, don't you? Jack took that blanket everywhere. It was just his size, and he held on to it through some pretty miserable stuff and some very scary moments. Surgeries, radiation treatments, hospital stays, emergency room visits, and doctor's appointments. He had it wrapped around him the day he died. I dug it out on Father's Day this weekend, and I just sat with it for a while. It helped me feel close to him. Thank you. As I mentioned, we did everything we could to make every day as special as we could. We decided to take Jack to Disneyland, which was terrifying because we were so far from home. When we arrived, Jack was in intense pain, and we were so scared and we felt so alone. We called his doctor, and both my wife and I were feeling like we had made a huge mistake because we had taken him away from his safety net. Disneyland felt like a horrible blunder. My wife was on the phone with the doctor, and I was trying to comfort Jack when someone knocked on our hotel room door. I was upset by the interruption, and at such a difficult time. When I opened the door, there was a woman standing there with a plate of warm chocolate chip cookies, and I'm talking straight out of the oven warm. She said the cookies were from CCA. As crazy it sounds, it made us all feel like we were not alone and that we had support and that we were going to be okay. I have no idea how CCA knew we were in that hotel room or even that we had flown to LA. It's these small things that matter, and it's what CCA does best. You've all heard about the Music RX program, the Chemo Pals, the new Teen Nature program, and the amazing Caring Cabin. These are all incredible and wonderful programs that truly provide hope and joy for families suffering during these difficult times. However, the simple fact that CCA exists is in itself a blessing. CCA is like the lighthouse in the worst shitstorm on earth. Damn, that was good. You know what? Let me say that again in case you missed it. CCA is the lighthouse in the worst shitstorm on earth. You should put that in the pamphlet next year. That should go straight on. Right. You're welcome. Yeah. Look, CCA can't cure cancer, and they can't take away the pain, but they do provide some normalcy and moments of joy for children and families struggling with a sick child. For me personally, meeting Regina gave me some hope in the darkest moment of my life. She proved to me that this was survivable. It was like a life raft had miraculously appeared in the middle of a dark black ocean I was drowning in. We were not alone. CCA knows what families need, even when families themselves don't know what they need. They know because CCA and Regina have been there before. The loss of a child is devastating, but so is watching your child suffer. CCA helps lessen the painful experience through the amazing programs and their amazing people. I can honestly say that at that time I could have just laid down and died from a broken heart. And I say that with all sincerity in the world. I believe that I could have just laid down, closed my eyes, and let go and been dead in minutes. But I couldn't do that because I had another little boy who depended on me. For too many years, my underlying emotion was that I'd just rather be dead myself. I can honestly say now that I've finally come to have peace with my son's death. Unfortunately, our loss also led to the end of a 27-year marriage. As I have started to adjust to my new life and a fresh start, I wanted to be more thoughtful and to practice kindness to others and myself. And I wanted to find a way to be of service. So I reached out to Regina, and Regina and her organization welcomed me with open arms. Once CCA is involved in your life, they are forever part of your family. After 14 years, CCA is continuing to give me love and support, and I am eternally grateful. Thank you all for taking your valuable time to be here today and to support CCA's mission. I hope you will continue to support their organization as CCA is pushing hard to serve families across our entire country. Compassion for our fellow man seems to be in short supply these days, so I encourage you to further support CCA, who are folks who are truly delivering joy in an otherwise worrisome world. Thank you again for listening to my story and supporting CCA. It's been an honor and a great pleasure to share it with you. I am proud to be part of CCA's ongoing mission with spreading joy. And to my fellow golfers who are on the other team, swing hard and look up. Thank you.